What do we think that Dick's Sporting Goods is doing with all of this storytelling? Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Radical Content. My name is Eric Gray. We've got Brittany in the house today too. We've got a whole crew in here. We got a newbie that's with us. Jaden is in the house with us for Maverick, and we're so excited for today's topic. I'm a little out of breath. My team makes fun of me because I do push-ups before to just get my mind right, get your body right, get your mind right. And I'm starting quickly, and so I'm going to catch up as we go. But today I'm so excited. You know, we go deep on social a lot. Like we go deep on Instagram and content and storytelling and social. But this episode is all going to be about long-form brand storytelling. It's something I've been passionate about for a very long time. We did a ton of this at Universal. I used to go to these brand storytelling events up in Park City, Utah, with some of my friends, and I want to get back up there because those guys are doing a great job of really recognizing the most amazing brand storytelling work that's going on. And today, we're going to talk about a brand that I love and a brand that you probably know about and have some kind of feeling about. It's Dick's Sporting Goods. So Dick's Sporting Goods this week, you're going to be hearing about this in a few weeks, but this week just announced a new initiative. They are building out a production company called Cookie Jar and a Dream Studios. So the first thing you're wondering is, what is Cookie Jar and a Dream Studios? Do you have any idea, Brittany, what that sounds like?
Something for kids.
Something for kids. Cookie Jar.
Absolutely.
So apparently, as the story goes, their founder, his name is Dick, took $300 from his grandmother's cookie jar to start Dick's Sporting Goods. So this kind of goes way back to their beginning story. So Cookie Jar and a Dream Studios, and they're building out a full production company. And the interesting thing about this is it's not new for them. And it's not new for a lot of big brands. There's a lot of brands that has been doing really big documentary style storytelling, human interest storytelling. A couple of them that come to mind, Red Bull's been investing in this for a long time. We've talked about Marriott and the history they had and what they're still doing. Chick-fil-A, we talked about Chick-fil-A last year with what they're doing during the holidays. And they're doing a bunch of animated series and they're investing in this. Patagonia, we talked about, and they're doing it. So there's a lot of brands that are out there that are doing this, have been doing this for a while. And so is Dick's Sporting Goods. So they've never had kind of a formalized production company. It's going to be creating original content always on. But back in 2014, they had a award-winning documentary called We Could Be King. It was an amazing documentary. And before we kind of get into the download, I want to tell you a little bit about kind of where they've been and what they're doing and why we like it. So before we jump into the details of this, I'd love for you to take a second, watch this quick trailer while we watch it. It'll really set the stage for what we're talking about when we say real high quality brand storytelling. Let's check this out.
Let's go! Martin Luther King is turning around. That's why we practice in the snow. That's why we practice in the rain. We've been hungry for a long time. Guess what? We still hungry. This is the beginning of our story. We ain't done.
I mean, this was a really challenging story to tell. If you got into this, we're not going to break apart this story, but there were some challenging things going on in this school district. Sports was going away. They were combining schools. There was a lot. I mean, it was heavy. It was a heavy topic. And they went in, they told this story and they won some awards. And this was, 2013. Then they went and did the turnaround. We're not going to watch the trailer for the turnaround, but you should go check that out. But they never really rallied around it. These were almost like kind of like campaigns, like moment in time. They wanted to be a part of telling these stories, but they've never really kind of rallied around what does that look like until this year. So they've produced 15 documentaries, those two being the most award-winning that they've produced. They've won 2 Emmy Awards, a Netflix collaboration. But this year, they've really landed on an amazing story that they're telling. It's called Big Dreams. It's about the Little League World Series. So they go back to 2024. And I'm in Florida, and so I'm familiar actually with this story because Lake Mary is a local high school here. There was a part of that. But it was an amazing story highlighting 200 and something kids. I think they say in the trailer, I'm gonna play it here in a second, that 5,000 kids, maybe it's 5 million. I should let the trailer do the work. But there's a ton of kids that play Little League baseball around the country, but only 200 go to the World Series. And it is a epic handful of weeks, and they tell this story. It comes out later this year. And so, let's take a look at that trailer real quick, and then let's talk about what do we think that Dick's Sporting Goods is doing with all of this storytelling from a marketing standpoint, because it's great to go out and tell a story. It's great to create tons of great content, but what's the reason behind it? And is it sustainable? That's what we want to get into. But check out this trailer for the latest thing that comes out this month, August 2025.
Every year, 2 million kids play Little League, but only 250 kids make it to the Little League Baseball World Series.
Let's go, let's score, let's battle.
Cierra los ojos.
This is the only place that we get to see people from other countries like this.
I don't think I could have dreamed how magical it's been for those boys.
I mean, that's awesome. Like, I can't wait for this to drop. I can't wait to watch this myself. And they're doing real high quality storytelling, right? So I mean, this is a brand. I remember back in the day when I first started thinking about social and content. And one of the things that got me so excited about being in this world, because I'm a former sports radio guy, so this is like right up my alley, is sports content. But the thing that got me so excited about being in this brand storytelling world is, brands have money. They've got dollars to spend, right? And historically, they would just pay media companies to put their content in front of their audience. But I thought to myself, man, if brands can be interesting enough, compelling enough, creative enough on their own, they can find their own audience. And that's what brands are doing with brand storytelling. Did you see any of these trailers? Have you kind of dug into this a little bit, Britt?
There's a little tickle in my heart because I'm now a sports mom, and this really does reach their actual audience. Like, there's a whole section, like they have a whole section defined for youth sports. And so for them to really speak to their audience and not also, I think it's a good play because it speaks to the next generation and the current generation that's going to be spending. So I really enjoyed it.
I love that point of view. And that's such a great segue into kind of this next part of this talk, which is about why are they doing this, right? When I think about Dick's Sporting Goods, I think about youth sports, right? At the end of the day, all of these big box retailers are dying.
Mm-hmm.
Dick's Sporting Goods is actually growing.
Yeah. Now,
it's growing incremental, and they're trying to find ways to push people online still, but they're growing. Their overall top line revenue, they're growing. I believe it's because they matter to people, right? When you think about what this is, it's a brand play. They're investing dollars right now. They understand that to reach people and to build trust with people today, it's not going to happen just through advertising. And they're trying to find ways to, how do we stay relevant? How do we connect emotionally? And that's, to me, the thing that stands out. Their mission is that sports have the power to change lives and build communities. Well, if you believe that, then you are lining up to be a part of this. Like, that's why they're doing this. It's a little bit of kind of our conversation with Patagonia, right? Yeah. We talked a lot about brand purpose, and what they're doing is they're expressing out why they exist. And I think that, that's what Dick's Sporting Goods is doing here. You could talk about, but why filmmaking? But they understand that to build your brand, you've got to connect emotionally today. Like, that's it. That's the beginning and the end. Yeah. And a lot of people want to do that with small budgets. A lot of people want to do that in small ways. They want to make social small or YouTube small. But Dick's Sporting Goods is saying, no, we've got to make this big. We've got to make this a tentpole business priority. There's a quote that I'll throw up here on the screen, or Marmal will, let's be honest, that I've used for many, many years. It says, it's a Harvard Business Review quote. Our research across hundreds of brands in dozens of categories shows that the most effective way to maximize customer value is to move beyond mere customer satisfaction and connect with customers at an emotional level. Like, Dick's Sporting Goods gets this. By the way, saying Dick's Sporting Goods, the whole, all three words, every time was really tripping me up. But you can't just say one word. You can't say the one word. No. You got to say the whole word. But Dick's Sporting Goods, they really get that. I pulled a couple quotes from people that I was investigating as we were kind of talking about this story. And one is from Rebecca Covington, who's on their marketing team. And her quote says, being able to share sports moments with fans is something that drives our team, right? Like, we heard their mission, but their mission just isn't words on a wall. Like, she's talking about, this is the thing that we do. This is what we want to do at our core. They love sports. They care about sports. And so they want to breathe life into this work. Another quote from Mark Roots, the VP of creative and partnership. I love this one. It's really about telling great stories and creating more fans of sports and hopefully fans of the Dick's Sporting Goods brand.
Wow.
That's it. Like, that's the whole thing. You wanted to like go through, like, understand why are they telling stories? Why are they hiring directors? Why are they building out a production company?
Yep.
He said it right there in one moment. If we connect with them at an emotional level on stories that matter to us and matter to our community and our audience, we're hoping that the long-term benefits will turn them into fans of who we are and what we stand for. Another thing you might ask is, man, there's tons of sports content. Like, how is Dick's Sporting Goods going to break through? Because there is. I mean, I started watching the SEC show that's on Netflix. I watched the NFL quarterbacks because I'm a big Kirk Cousin fan on Netflix. And there's tons of documentaries about sports that are happening today. And it's because people are watching it. And so if people are thirsty for it, then they should be creating more of it. And Dick's Sporting Goods is saying, we should be at that table. We should be creating that content. But they're not doing what everybody's doing. Go get the big athlete, go get the big story, go get the big partnership with the NFL, and let's go tell those stories because that's where the audience is. What they've done is they've kind of thought about, what is our way into this? They've thought about, well, what does our brand stand for, right? Our brand does stand for a bit of youth sports, a bit of sports in local communities. And so I think that as you look at the examples that they've created in the past, and I think what you're going to see for them in the future, you're going to see not professional athlete stories. They're telling human interest stories about the sports consumer and about youth sports. This is their niche, and they can own it. Now, it might not get hundreds of millions of views, but I don't think that's the point. You know, they can find ways to promote. They can find ways to partner and to get these, you still have to market the content for sure. But at the end of the day, I believe they're finding their way in, their niche where it's going to matter. And I think that's something that's going to help make this so sustainable. When I think of Dick's Sporting Goods, I think of youth sports. When I walk in there today, I'm going in there to get gear for my kids. Sounds like you are too, Brittany.
Yep.
I'm going there to get shoes. It's not even really convenient. It's actually more convenient for me to buy on Amazon.
It is.
And I'm not saying I'm not an Amazon guy, but like, I still go to Dick's Sporting Goods. There's something like going in and like seeing the uniforms. And I think about football back in the day because that's what I used to play before I got into before everybody got bigger than me. That's the truth story. And so that's what their business goal is. Now there have been many brands who have built teams like this over the years. We've talked about some of them, and the sad thing is a bunch of them have been shut down. Mm-hmm. And so that's the interesting thing here, and that's kind of the warning, right? Like, all of these places are run by leaders, right? They all have got a CMO, a VP of digital, a VP of brand. And at the end of the day, what they're trying to do is to do something different for this brand. But at some point, they're going to move on and another group is going to come in. And sadly, over the years, we've seen during those leadership transitions, programs like this kind of get canceled. They're like, yeah, let's go back to transactional. That's not driving business today. And it gets more short term. Yeah. So I love what they're doing here. I hope it sticks around. So a couple of quick takeaways for you today as we look deep at what Dick's is doing here and their brand storytelling. First, you got to know who you are as a brand before you ever do this. Know who your customers are, what they care about, how you can serve them. No brand should be doing this until you're crystal clear on that. And I really mean it. I mean, I think a lot of brands see the cool tactics, the sexy things that other brands are doing. They're like, let's do that, let's do that, let's do that. But they don't know who they are at their core. They don't know who they're serving. And so they kind of just go out there. They hire a director. They come up with a concept in a brainstorm, and they just run towards the idea. And they're trying to shortcut. But we talked about Patagonia, and I think Dick's here is another great example of someone that knows who they are. They know that, and that goes down into the niche of the stories they're trying to tell. And so that's the first thing. You got to know who you are, what you stand for. The second one is long-form brand storytelling, not a short-term transactional tactic. So you got to understand this is a long-term brand play. It's an investment that you hope pays off for years and years in the future. We all know about investments, right? Financial investments. You're taking some money out of something, you're putting it in somewhere else, and you hope over time it's going to deliver exponential. Well, that's the bet here. That's the bet for Dick's, is that they're creating content, building relationships with people that they believe is long-term going to pay off. And the last one, and I know there's some people that are listening to this that might be social media managers. They might be creative directors in brands. And they're like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds sexy and all. No chance. No chance we could get that approved. No chance we could do that. Like, Dick's is building their own production company. Like you said, Eric, you said they're putting millions of dollars into this. Like that, you know how hard that would be to do here? First off, I think you can do this anywhere. Yeah, you need some dedicated budget for sure. Yeah, you need some team that really knows what they're doing. You got to do this in a really great, high quality way. But I don't think it's either $100 million idea or it's not at all. I think there's plenty of people out there that are finding ways to get scrappy. I was looking at the Brooklyn Coffee stuff that they're doing. It's not real what I would call brand storytelling, but it's definitely high quality social content. They're doing that with small teams, really great writers, few shooters, great editors, and they're putting together amazing stories. And so my challenge to you would be, what could we do? What's one story we could tell? I always tell people that the story that's sitting right underneath your nose is the customer story, but not like a lame, boring testimonial, like a really deep story about why they come to you. What value do you bring into their life? How are you able to solve problems for them? And tell that in unique ways, with unique angles, unique chapters. Another one that I would highlight, and we can link to in the notes, is the Universal stories. We started these documentaries about our guest when I was back at Universal, and the guys are still doing them today. And man, they're so good. They're so rich. All they are customer stories. People that come to our theme parks and enjoy them. But man, they suck you in. There's great chapters. There's great drama between the mom and the husband and the kids about vacation. And so you have a story to tell, and you have a way that you can tell that story. And so let this inspire you and challenge yourself in the coming year. What if we tried to tell one really, really good story? So that's it. Awesome work, Dick's Sporting Goods. Excited to see what they do. And that's it for this episode 30 in the books. We did it, Britt. All right, we got 2 more to record.
Let's go.
So we're going to get to it. But thank you so much for watching today. Again, the number one thing I always ask for you to do is share this with your boss. Like I want not just to impress and inspire teams like yours. My hope is that you can take this and push this up the organization to really inspire brands to think different, to tell stories, and to connect emotionally with their customers. And that's why this episode is so good. So appreciate it. Thanks for being here. We'll talk soon.